I am excited for this video because I literally just minutes ago filmed my Catch Me If You Can video, and I filmed my Last Night in Soho video, and now I want to talk about 10 things I hate about you, which I'm also extra excited to talk about since I've also filmed a review for another Joseph Gordon-Levitt film, 500 Days of Summer. Though I gotta admit, this is hard to say if this is really like a Joseph Gordon-Levitt film. It kind of feels more like an ensemble film to a degree. When you first watch this film, you'll watch like the first half and you'll think like, oh, this is about Cameron, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character. But then like halfway through the movie, his character just kind of doesn't really do much. And it starts to focus a lot more on Heath Ledger, who is not a big focus in the first half of the film.
What did I miss?
The oppressive patriarchal values that dictate our education.
Good.
I am thick, everybody knows I am built like a piece of stone.
Interesting writing. I can't say I advise anybody do this for their stories, but for this movie, it actually kind of works. I still wish we got to see more of Cameron. I was very invested in his plotline, but ultimately the movie does work really well as it is. Part of why I'm so excited to talk about this film is because I feel like this film is a great example of a film that is like perfectly average. Like, this is not like my favorite movie by any means, but it's a movie that I still love dearly. Part of that is it feels like home. I grew up in Seattle, Washington. Watching people interact in this school feels like when I was in school, you know? And I feel like that's a big part of why this movie works so well, is that the characters are really well written, and it really feels like this world has been built, right? It's been established. Now, I get that sounds really dumb because this takes place in the real world. World building is not just about like fantasy worlds. World building is about every story. You need to establish the rules of your own world, which in a way is kind of like establishing tone. It's not enough for you to just be like, oh, this is Seattle, Washington, because anyone who's not from Seattle, Washington won't know what that means. And if you don't know what that means and you don't know how to convey what that means, then people from Seattle, Washington will be like, no, that's not Seattle, Washington at all. And I think that's something that this movie really does a good job of. And in almost every other level, this movie is like just perfectly proficient without going above and beyond, except visually. Like for the most part, the cinematography is like very effectively average. You're not going to see anything that's blowing your mind, except for this one shot while the principal is writing smut. There's a Zolly shot. There's a dolly zoom. Why? I don't know, but it makes the shot. It's so funny. It's so funny for a type of shot that's usually reserved for like really suspenseful moments or big reveals to just be there for like someone writing a really dirty novel. I just think that's so amusing. Hey, I'm popping in from the editing room to tell you that this guy right here, this guy is dumb. Actually, in general, the cinematography all across the board is really good and really enhances the world building as well as the comedy of the film. This movie relies a lot on things going on in the background, and so it makes these like pretty normal compositions or normal frames really fun and unique because there's just wild stuff going on in the background. It also helps the world of this film feel more alive because we see that there's just whole other things going on in this movie. There's also a bunch of really long shots that keep the movie from just being reverse shot the entire time. There's always just one shot at least in each scene that helps keep the movie feeling fresh and break up the general cinematography type of stuff you would normally expect. And that's one of the biggest strengths of this film to me is the comedy. The comedy just hits really well, and I don't know how much of that is because I'm from that kind of culture where like, that's the kind of humor we have. And I don't know if that was because that was the kind of humor I had when I was that age and like everybody around me had. But I'm inclined to say that that's not the case, because that can fall really flat in film. I'm sure we've all seen a comedy of some kind that was a comedy, you know, a movie that just really wasn't that funny, or maybe the movie was funny, but it wasn't as funny as it thought it was.
Chicken jockey.
I certainly feel like there's a lot of movies that think that they can just get away with the dialogue having some pretty funny zingers in there, which maybe that can work, but I feel like that's missing out on so much potential, because we're talking about movies. We're talking about an art form that uses all sorts of art forms and all sorts of like things to convey something. And so why should comedy not be a part of that? And as I've established with that Zolly shot, this film does a really good job at that. And it does really good job on that in strides, even outside of just that shot. Like sometimes there's really funny things going on in the background, or you have the scene where that one guy, what's his name? I just want to call him Bernard because that's who he plays in the Santa Claus. But there's the scene where he's getting a dick drawn on his face. And so even though that situation already is pretty funny, and even though there's some comedic potential in the dialogue of that scene, they went above and beyond to add a visual element to that as well. Also, this is one of my favorite jokes in the film.
You see what I did there? That was underwear. I'll show you the bathing suit when I get it.
I really like the soundtrack of this film. I don't know, something about it just feels very nostalgic. It's a late 90s movie, so like a lot of that vibe leads into the early 2000s, which is where, you know, where I grew up. There's also something that feels like almost subversive about how the teachers act in this film.
You're not gonna fight me on this?
No, I think it's a really good assignment.
You just messing with me, aren't you?
No, I'm really looking forward to writing it.
Get out of my class.
What?
Out, get out!
In most movies, you expect the teachers or the principal to be these characters who like are like these guardians and you know, can really leave a good impact in the lives of these kids. But in this film, you really don't get that too much. But not in like a Stephen King way, where every adult in a Stephen King movie is just the worst person ever. More in the sense that the teachers kind of feel just as quirky and juvenile as the kids, with the exception of like the wait, what classes are they in? What class is this teacher teaching? I have no clue. All I know is that he's probably the best adult character in this movie. This guy's probably like the best adult in this film, but even he feels subversive in the fact that he hates his kids.
All right, not that I give a damn, but how was everybody's weekend?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe we should ask Kat.
Unless you kick the crap out of your dumb butt, I don't want to hear about it.
He feels like the best mentor character, which next to his more like quirky aspect to himself, makes him feel kind of grounded in a way. I feel like I've met adults like this when I was a teenager. I've had mentors like that, but also a lot of the other adults in this film feel very incompetent, but not so incompetent that it starts to feel like just cynically unrealistic. A lot of the incompetence feels more like it's being played off for the joke, and any other incompetence there is feels like it's for the narrative itself. Like, for example, the dad of the two leading ladies of the film. He's very quirky. He says a lot of really funny things, like really funny things, and he does some really funny things throughout the film.
Where are we going?
Well, if you must know, a small study group of friends.
Otherwise known as an orgy?
But the rest of his quirkiness is for character development of all the characters, including himself. It also leans into developing the film's theme in a very good way. All right, so I've talked quite a bit about this movie, and I think it's time to really get our final thoughts in here. Like I said earlier, this movie is not breaking the wheel. It's not doing anything that's groundbreaking, but I really don't mind that. I don't think we need a lot of movies that are groundbreaking. This film, to me, is a 3-star film, but it's a 3-star film in like the best possible way. It's the easiest movie to be able to just play at any point in your life and just enjoy. It's not so good to where you really feel like you have to find the perfect time to watch it or the perfect situation to watch it in, but it's also not such a mediocre or bad movie to where you feel like you could scroll on your phone the whole time. You can always depend on this movie being a fun watch. And what more could you ask for in a film? And with that, go have a better love life than me.